I do want to apologise straight away in this video because the gameplay you're probably about to watch is pretty damn awful, and that is because I'm not really great with pistols or shotguns, and that was the loadout I was trying to use to kind of get background footage for this video. But regardless of that, this video is all about the pistols that are inside Battlefield 6. There's only 4 of them at the moment, and I'm sure there will be plenty more to come when it comes to the life cycle of this game in its entirety, and hopefully we get the 93R and hopefully we get the Mare's Leg. Those are the 2 pistols I am looking forward to the most, and please, EA, please, DICE, bring those 2 guns to Battlefield 6. But that's not what this video is all about. This video is actually about the 4 guns that we have existing in the game and which one has the fastest time to kill inside Battlefield 6. So what you'll see now is the chest TTK for every single range for all of the pistols in the game. Now, I do want to quickly mention before we discuss anything else is that if you do land a couple of headshots with the pistols, you can dramatically reduce the time to kill for pretty much every single one of them. So that is something that you do want to kind of focus on when you're in a gunfight. But let's get into the numbers that you see right now. So all these numbers right now are a bit jumbled up. It's not going to make too much sense to you, but like I said, we've got all the TTK ranges, the mag size, the rate of fire, the bullet velocity, and the ADS times. I did want to add in the ADS times for the pistols because I think it is an important factor, especially when you're trying to outgun some of the other weapons in the game, and we'll get on to discuss that a little bit later on in this video. But arranging for that 0 to 10 meter mark, you can see the M44 comes out on top as the fastest killing sidearm, and it's 368 milliseconds. We'll go on to discuss that a little bit later, but like I said, this is the fastest killing in that 0 to 10 meter range. Not to mention it does have the highest damage out of all the sidearms that are currently in the game at the moment, which I think is okay. It's not bad, but it's going to get outgunned, and like I said, I'm going to discuss that a bit further later in this video. When it comes to bullet velocity, it's actually not too bad considering the ranges that you should be using this gun at. The ADS is on the slower side for the sidearms in general, but like I said, for the most part, is not too bad, right? Then looking at the 10 to 40 meter range, which by the way, I don't recommend using any of these sidearms past about 20 meters. If you're doing that, then you're definitely doing something wrong. But you can see here the M45A1 now comes out on top, which has the fastest time to kill for 768 milliseconds, and that is still pretty slow at that range, to be honest with you. And of course it is a sidearm, so you shouldn't really be using it at insanely far ranges. But when it comes to the mag size, again, it's on the smaller side. It's got 7 rounds. The rate of fire is 327, which is not too slow, but there is obviously faster pistols, of course. And then the bullet velocity, again, 336, which is not great, especially at those further ranges. And then the ADS time is one of the quickest, which is obviously something that's going to be quite handy when it comes to sidearms. When it comes to my top picks, the M44 comes out on top. If you want to just deal the maximum possible damage you can with the least amount of shots you can, then this is definitely one you want to go for. It does have a respectable-ish time to kill, especially if you do land a headshot or 2. But like I said, that's kind of how you want to use this. You need to kind of land a headshot to do well with any of these sidearms, and the M44 is no different. The next sidearm I'd recommend is the M45A1, which is the second fastest TTK sidearm in the game. Now, that's kind of the only reason why I would recommend this, because in terms of like bullet velocity and fire rate and all those things, it's very similar to the other sidearms in the game in general because it's also semi-automatic. The mag size on this is pretty small, so you do want to extend it once you unlock the extended mag options. So in general, it's nothing super special, but it just kills the second quickest essentially, so that's why I'm going to put it up here. So I do want to take a minute or 2 of your time to discuss the secondary weapons as a whole, because I feel like they're in a really weird spot. And there's a couple of issues that I actually have with this category of weapon. Now, each individual weapon by itself is actually not too bad, right? It's the game as a whole and where these actually fit in where I have the problem right now. Because secondary weapons usually have kind of multi-value, right? It depends on what you're going to be using it for. And right now, the secondary weapons are only used to get a quick finish, right? If you've dealt most of the damage with your primary weapon, you switch to your secondary weapon quickly and get the finish, and that is kind of almost the only reason to use these, in my opinion, because the time to kill at super close range is going to get outgunned by pretty much most SMGs, most ARs, and even most carbines as well. Some of the marksman rifles also, and also some of the LMGs. And if you want to see the TTK for all of those guns, by the way, we've already made a video similar to this one on those as well. But like I said, it gets beat out at close range, which is absolutely fine, by the way. I don't have an issue with that because as a secondary weapon, it shouldn't be competing that much. But then, obviously, when a pistol comes out, you're technically going to have a faster movement speed, right? Wrong, right? That's the problem. So the SMGs have very similar ADS to the sidearms or secondary weapons. Then the assault rifles in the assault class also have a very similar ADS as well. So there's kind of no real benefit to ever use the secondary weapon, right? Pretty much ever, unless you just don't want to reload your gun for some reason. Then there's kind of almost no reason to use these. So that's the issue that I have with the secondary weapons. And then also there's no fun ones in the game at the minute, like the 93R, which is a burst pistol, or the Mare's Leg, which is like a sniper pistol, which I just find so fun to use, by the way. I can't wait till the Mare's Leg is in this game. That would be absolutely insane, and the icing on the cake, especially for the Battle Royale, whenever that comes out. But like I said, there's no kind of reason to use the secondary weapons right now, especially with the way the class system is set up for all of the other guns in this game. And like I said, even for like supports with the LMGs, they get less of an ADS penalty and all that kind of thing. So like I said, there's no real need for these. And I think there is a spot for secondary weapons, because if you are using something like the recon class, for example, and you've got a sniper, you're not going to be sniping at super close range, right? You need a secondary weapon to allow you to deal a bit of damage at close range so you can kind of cover all the ranges that you possibly can. But like I said, none of these guns kind of offer you that value, which is the issue at the moment. But let me know what you think about these pistols in general, which one you like using at the moment, which one you think is the best. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. We've got tons of videos coming up very soon, and we've already got loads on the channel that you can check out as well. And thank you very much for watching.